Okay, welcome to our first podcast on Thai language, and I have here with me my brother, a linguistics expert. The thing about Ramsey is you know all like 50 dialects of Spanish, or at least interesting things about all 50 dialects of Spanish, or at least you knew interesting things at one time.
I do in fact know a lot about Spanish. And
then you, according to Carl, you're an expert at reading Chinese and pretty good at speaking it. And
I can read way more Chinese than the average foreigner who just shows up here in China.
Cool.
For the first time.
Do you know the symbol for zhang?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Wow, you passed my difficult test. Let's see. Oh, what do you know about Thai, first of all?
Okay. Most of the Thai words and expressions I know have to do with Muay Thai.
Okay.
And I am certain that my pronunciation of them is far from native.
Okay. And the biggest thing is, the interesting thing about Thai is it's a hotly debated subject of how to pronounce the G, because there's no actual like true G in Thai. It's a sound halfway in between the G and the K, and so
what would be an example of that?
Do you know the name of any islands in Thailand?
Phi Phi Island.
Okay, and then the Thai name for that is Go Phi Phi, but everyone writes it Kor, K-O-R, Phi Phi. So when it's spelled it's K-O-R, but it's the British pronunciation, with the K, with the written K being the G that's actually halfway in between G and K. And my first idea was to make a easy podcast, but this is kind of complicated stuff.
Indeed.
So anyway,
there's probably like 5 or 6 people out on the internet who can't wrap their minds around this.
Yeah, so
mind-boggling things.
So
not all of you can be linguistics experts. I'm sorry.
So
got to go to college and take at least like 3 or 4 classes for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I've never taken a linguistics class, so that's probably why. Actually, so the way that they spell it the way they spell Phi Phi Island in English, because the name for island is Go, but they spell it K-O-R, and it's
but it sounds like a G.
Yeah, it sounds like a G to most people, except for some linguists, and some people that learn the wrong way of learning Thai, and then the O-R is the British O-R, so the or in core actually isn't or, it's O, like British people would say O-R.
Or people from Boston.
Yeah, or people from Boston. That's a good point. And then that's another. So I guess island. How to say island is pretty hotly debated, because someone like from California that is reading a Boston linguist's way of writing the word for island would say ka, but it's not ka, it's go. Again, with the G sound halfway in between G and K, not go, not ko, but go. And then the way Thai people say it, it sounds like sparkly. It's like a sparkly G, is what it sounds like. So unfortunately we don't have any Thai people in the car. So
is that like analogous to how when Spanish-speaking people say the letter R, they kind of roll it, or if it's single R, they just like tap the tip of their tongue on the alveolar ridge to get the sound of it. This little like eri type of sound.
Yeah.
That Americans can't pronounce unless they practice a whole bunch.
Yeah, probably something like that. Okay, so your question was about Thai and mispronouncing it wrong, and so you're probably actually pronouncing it really well, except for all of the things that you thought had K's in them are actually G's.
Before we go on, I think I should amend what I just said, that Americans can't pronounce, because the United States of America actually has the largest native Spanish-speaking population outside of Spain and Mexico, so I really should say native English speakers who don't also grow up speaking Spanish, just to clarify.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so excellent first word, PP Island, and okay. What else do you know in Thai?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. And, an interesting thing about Muay Thai, how many syllables would you guess are in Muay Thai?
That's a good question, because the first word Muay sounds like it's a diphthong, but I also hear people say it as if it's two syllables, like Muay, but then I hear people say it like Muay, like it's one syllable, so I don't know.
Okay, I was hoping you would say three, and then I would say, wrong, two. So interestingly, if I were to say it in English, I would say Muay Thai, which is wrong and not Thai. In Thai, the ua is a official diphthong in Thai, and ua is one sound, one syllable, and then the Thai has ua, or sorry, Muay has ua, and then a y at the end, and when you combine y with anything, then it's still just the same syllable. So it's mua e for muay.
Fascinating.
So and then that's all one syllable.
One syllable made of a triphthong.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Muay means boxing, and Thai means Thai or Thailand. So it literally means Thai boxing.
That's why they call it Thai boxing. Whoa, mind blowing.
Yep. Okay. So what else do you know in Thai?
Let's see here.
And actually, you're the first person that first person that came up with two things besides hello and thank you in Thai.
Okay. Well, here's some other Muay Thai terms I know. Teep. A front push kick.
Teep, and
I've always wondered if that is if that's a cognate to the Chinese word ti, which also means kick, but it's any type of kick in English. But if you go to a Muay Thai gym, when they say teep, generally they're speaking about a front push kick.
Yeah, and that's a good question. I'll put it on my vocabulary list. I don't know the answer right now. Okay, what else do you know in Thai?
I know Ram Muay, the Muay Thai dance, or the Wai Crew, and I'm not actually sure what the difference is between those two terms, Ram Muay and Wai Crew, but it's the dance that is performed before the Muay Thai fight.
Okay, wow, you know a lot of Thai that I don't know, so...
Whoa, I know more Thai than Joseph, and he lives in Thailand.
But I've never seen a so something that Ramsey told me over the weekend is, man, you live in Thailand and you've never seen a Muay Thai fight, so yeah, that's on my to-do list, which I probably won't actually do until Ramsey comes to visit me. So and then we'll go. Good plan.
Okay.
What else do you know in Thai?
Nak Muay, a Muay Thai fighter.
Nak Muay. So
basically.
Okay.
Or a boxer.
So that is
I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Nakmuay.
Yeah,
it's probably pronounced like with a G or something weird, right?
Well, actually, the when a K or a G is at the end of a syllable, then it's pronounced identically. And then the other thing is that Thai people when they talk and pronounce a K or G at the end of the syllable, they in English there's a puff of air, so you say ga and the is the puff of air, or you say ka and the is the puff of air. But if you don't actually say that puff of air, if you cut it off right before you say the puff of air, then it sounds identical. So the word knock and nog, if you didn't have the puff of air, they would both be knock and knock. And so the way Thai people pronounce it would be nak moy.
Interesting.
Wow. And then nak means person. So and nak muay just means a person, well, literally person boxing, or a boxer. And then like a singer is a how do you say sing? Playing. Playing is how you say sing, and then nak playing means a person, literally means person sing or singer.
Whoa.
So you can put nak in front of any anything, and it turns it into.
It's kind of like the morpheme ist in English, like a.
Oh yeah,
pianist is someone who plays the piano.
Or a singerist, or a boxerist.
Well,
yeah, but
perhaps also the morpheme in English.
Yeah. So
I should have a couple of those in English too.
Yeah, and I think
personify something like that.
And there's kind of a couple of like that in Thai. Sometimes like the word for baker, or so. Cone is the word for person, the most common word for person, but nak also means person. I have in my notes that nak means one who does. So the word the word for baker, you don't use nak, you use cone, which is just person. So if I say Ramsey's a person, or there are 3 people in the car, Ramsey's a person, I would say Ramsey is a cone. And if there are 3 people in the car, I would say there are 3 cones in the car.
Fascinating.
But then for professions, a lot of times you use nak. And I think there's 3 chang, or wait, what is it? Chang, chong.
So it's not actually that dissimilar between ist and in English, because ist sounds very professional, like a pianist sounds way better than, well, more professional than a piano player.
Yeah.
So a piano player could be like a kid playing with the piano, and a pianist is somebody who stands in front of a concert hall and plays something awesome. Well, at least that's how the semantics work in my mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't know a ton about cone versus nak, but yeah. Oh,
but there's probably some semantic difference when native speakers hear those words.
Yeah. And then I think for every kind of profession, then you just kind of have to memorize if it's nak, cone, or something else. But most of the time, it's almost always it's nak.
Fascinating.
Okay, so what else do you know in Thai?
Oh man, I'm running out of Muay Thai words. I should probably learn the word for punch eventually, since that's a big part of Muay Thai. But I don't actually know how to say punch in Thai.
Okay, there's 2 words for hit. One is one is chon. But the place that I heard, and so I think chon is like if 2 cars crash into each other, then
what about if a fist and a face crash into each other?
Well, let me finish with chon, and then okay. I think the word is D. But with chon, so the most popular, or the way that I use chon most often is the way they say cheers in Thai. Well, there's actually like 3 or 4 ways to say cheers, but the way I like saying cheers is chon geo, and chon is crash, and then geo is glass. So cheers, like
crash
literally
the glasses
means,
together.
Yeah, crash the glasses together. And then if 2 cars crash into each other, then that's they're choning each other.
Interesting. Fascinating.
And then D, Thai has a lot of like in between sounds. So the D sound, they have the D sound, they have the T sound, and they have the sound in between T and D. D. Oh, sorry, Ramsey. I find this interesting, and but yeah, it's kind of boring. So basically, the sound in between T and D sounds a lot more like D than T, to me anyway. But
I'm totally not bored, by the way. We were just up late last night.
But linguists always use the T sound instead of the D sound. So generally, like there's a bunch of sounds you can't actually trust when you're reading the English transliteration of Thai, and T is one of them, because T is often the sound in between T and D.
I find that's often the case with English transliterations of almost any language where they don't use the Roman alphabet. like Chinese, for example, if you read Pinyin, which is the romanization of Chinese, it's based on like a 17th century European language. I don't remember which one, but it doesn't look, it often doesn't sound anything like the way it's written.
Oh yeah, and you were saying about, because I made a video on Chinese where I said the number 2 was err, because that's how it's
E-R, so in English it looks like err or
Yeah, and I think I made some jokes about like to err is human, or to 2 is human.
Yes, and then the actual pronunciation is R. R.
Like a pirate?
With a, kind of like that. Like
oh man, and so in my Chinese video I totally missed out on
like a pirate with something stuck in his throat, so instead of R, you got R. Like you're just kind of barking it out.
Oh, like a pirate that's that said
like
too
a little
many
pirate
R's.
dog going R, R, or a pirate seal perhaps.
Cool. Yeah, so I totally missed out on a bunch of pirate dog jokes in my Chinese video because I was mispronouncing R as air. So anyway, to hit is D, or D, if you want a more English version of it, or a less wrong version than T, but it's D. Okay, and okay, what else do you know in Thai?
Thai, Farang, foreigner.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong too. An indication of how foreign I actually am to the Thai people.
And it's actually pretty good. It's Farang.
Whoa.
And then in Thai there's no spoken difference between R and L.
So you could say like Farang, and it would sound normal, or
yeah. So pretty much all, and there are some Thai people that can't really say like make a difference between R and L.
That's a pretty common phenomenon worldwide, actually. You'll see that a lot in Latin American countries as well, where the R and the L get blended together.
So are there like certain Latin American countries, or pretty much all Latin American countries, or
pretty much all of them? It's just some people just have a difficult time pronouncing the difference between the liquid consonants, the R and the L. That's what linguists call it, the liquids.
So R and L are liquids?
I learned that in college, guys.
So and are R and L also sonorants?
Sonorants. I'm trying to remember what a sonorant is.
That's important in Thai for the tones. So I still, well, I know that N is a sonorant, but I don't know if N
is a sonorant a vowel. No, a consonant where you vocalize something like, for example,
yeah. So
let's make a distinction. S and a Z sound. The S is a sibilant, and the Z is a what was the word you just said?
Oh, N, M, and
no, the word to describe that type of sound.
Oh, sonorant.
Sonorant, yes, because it has a sound coming out of the throat like Z, as opposed to S with no sound coming out of the throat. Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, so I know that
Sibilant, sonorant.
N, M, and Ng are sonorants only because with the Thai tone rules, if you memorize all the Thai tone rules, which I believe only 5 people in the whole world have, but if you memorize all the Thai tone rules, then they have this thing that if it's a sonorant and a short vowel, then it changes the tone in certain ways for certain things. But the tone rules are boring, so I don't think anyone should. Well, besides those 5 people that memorize them.
Tone rules are not only boring; they're horribly taught. For example, in Chinese, for years people would try to teach me the tones by saying it's the falling tone, it's the rising tone, it's the sustained tone, it's the and none of that made any sense. So here's how I teach them: it's the angry tone, like that. It's the question tone, It's the make your voice kind of deep and then pretend you weren't making your voice all deep tone, like and then, which can often be confused with the question tone, so you got to practice those a lot. And then there's the hold a note like you're singing tone, and that's about it in Mandarin.
Cool. Yeah, I like.
If they just taught it like that, it would be super easy.
So
they don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, the same thing with Thai is like the midtone. The midtone. A lot of people describe it as a neutral tone, but it's not actually neutral because it's not a sustained. It does start in the middle, but then it goes slightly down.
Slightly. That's troublesome.
Yeah. So if you're saying the midtone in a true mid, like even tone, then you're saying it wrong.
Yeah, learning languages like this reminds me of those old science fiction movies and TV shows where they would meet an antagonistic alien race who were like super intelligent but really pompous about it, and they would be like the human protagonist would say, "What is your name?" And they would say, "Your feeble human tongues cannot pronounce our names." But the thing is, our feeble human tongues most of the time can't even pronounce other feeble human tongues. So chew on that for a bit.
Okay. Well, while I'm chewing, let's go back to the R and the L sound.
Okay.
So an interesting thing is that a lot of Thai people don't realize that they're saying the R and L sound identically, because they're written differently, and then certain TV newscasters and certain movie stars will trill their R. So like similar in Spanish.
Yeah.
So instead of saying red, they would say red. In Thai as well as in Spanish, and if I understand in Spanish, then a lot of times, like for movie star speech or for like TV broadcasting speech, then they'll trill the R's just a little bit extra.
Especially TV broadcasting. If you listen to the guy from Telemundo, for example, he'll be like, "Este sábado en sábado gigante en Telemundo vamos a ver," and like the word ver ends with an R, and so you should just barely tap it in casual speech like ver, like that. But he would say, "Vamos a ver," and hold it out like that. And nobody really talks like that except the Telemundo guy. But,
yeah, and it's the same way. It's the same way in Thai, that nobody actually ever trills their R like in regular speech. But I've been part of so many conversations where people have said, "Hey Joseph, can you speak Thai like a Thai person and trill your R?" And then they'll say, that's the name for the R, is ro. And then the name for L is lo ling. Ling, L-I-N-G with a E sound, ling. So lo ling. And so I heard a funny joke is somebody saying, "Oh, is that like mixing up the R and the L, and saying, "Oh, is that ro ring or lo lua?" And then Thai people usually get exasperated. No, it's not ro ring, it's ro ring, or it's not lo ling, it's lo ling, or sorry, it's not lo ling, it's lo rua, it's not ro ring, it's ro.
So they're pronouncing the name of the opposite letter with the opposite sound.
Yeah. So
That's a joke.
Yeah. Well, just one guy, and I thought it was a funny joke, so I try and make that joke whenever I can.
That's actually way funnier than any math joke I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Which just goes to prove that linguistics is much more entertaining than mathematics.
Which explains why there are so many linguists out there.
So many.
Okay. Yeah. So in reality then Thai people don't pronounce R and L identically, except for like the equivalent of the Telemundo broadcaster. Oh, and then R and L are often dropped when they're the second sound in a syllable. So like if a Thai person were saying bread in English, then they would often drop the R because it's the second sound, and it's an R and L in a syllable. So a Thai person when saying the word bread might say bet, completely dropping the R or the L. And that was one of my Thai questions at first, is because when learning a new language, there's a lot of stuff you just can't hear because you're not used to it. So one of my burning questions is: are they pronouncing it, and my ears? Are they really pronouncing it, and my ears just can't hear it, or
Because it's so subtle.
yeah, or do they just drop it? And the answer is they just completely drop it.
Yeah, I had some very similar questions about Spanish, because in Spanish a lot of native speakers will drop many sounds, and the way native English speakers are taught to speak Spanish is to pronounce everything, basically. And so you go to a Spanish-speaking country for the first time and you hear people essentially skip out on a bunch of sounds, and you try to fill in the blanks with your mind. You're like, wait, that's not the way it is. So after 2 years in Argentina, I came back. I took this Spanish linguistics class with this dude from the Dominican Republic, and he basically was explaining all this stuff that I kind of already knew, but never thought about consciously, which is how very specific sounds are dropped out and why. I was like, wait, they're not dropped out. I hear them, except I didn't really hear them. I imagined them because I saw them in print.
That's fascinating. Yeah, so I'm glad I found the answer to that, because typically the way that Thai people explain it is, well, yeah, some people drop it, but you really should use the R and the L. You really shouldn't do that because it's not good speech. And so with that answer, what that means is Thai is, yeah, we don't use it at all.
And I'm pretty sure I've tried to teach English words to foreign speakers in that same way. You want to say it this way, not that way, because they try, native speaker or ESL speakers try to emulate what they hear, because they're like, I want to speak like you. I want to speak like an actual native English speaking person, not like some weird textbook or whatever. But as a native speaker, we hear them try to say it all casual, like say a native English speaker from Idaho or whatever, and you're like, and you hear it coming out like that as a reflection of everything that's wrong about the way you say it. And you're like, no, it sounds bad. It's like a corrupted mirror version of myself, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and that's a good explanation, because one of the most helpful things that I heard, I just heard like a month ago, which is that native speakers will hold you to a much higher standard than they themselves have.
Totally, man. Totally.
And so it makes sense that we do that in English. They do that in Thai or Spanish or Chinese.
Also, for example, if you try teaching or getting a Chinese person to say something casual slang in English, like, yo, what's happening? It's going to come out sounding super weird and nothing like that. But they'll put this very concerted effort, as much scholarly effort, into saying this this super casual, flippant slang expression as they would saying it formally, like, hello, how are you, what's going on, or, you know, whatever, however you want to say that. And yeah, so we feel this this urgency to correct that as native speakers, and be like, no, you want to be understood across the board, not just by this potentially smaller demographic of people who use this particular slang expression or this particular pronunciation. So there's a urgency to try to protect ESL speakers from slang, I guess.
That is interesting. Okay, so what else do you know about? Oh, actually, let's because you went to Thailand. You saw some fights. You mentioned a couple of them a few times. Like this guy did the best. I can't remember what technique it was.
Elbows, the most amazing elbows I had seen in a fight ever.
Okay, so before you, I guess I should have said spoiler alert. Could you describe the fight, like where it was, when you saw it?
It was at Lumpini Boxing Stadium in Bangkok, and it was probably the 6th event on the card, I'm thinking. This was a while back, so I don't remember the exact details, but these guys come out, they square up, and they stand basically toe-to-toe. There are basically three ranges of combat in the stand-up game: out of the pocket, toe-to-toe, inside the pocket. Out of the pocket is standing at the most distant point where you can still barely touch the other guy. Toe-to-toe is your toes are about, the end of your feet are about the same, so any type of strike could potentially land. Inside the pocket is a range where you could clinch with the other guy or throw short-range strikes like elbows and hooks and uppercuts and knees. So the whole fight happened like inside the pocket, but they weren't clinching, which was really interesting, because generally in a Muay Thai fight, they get inside the pocket, they clinch. But there was no clinching. Anytime the other guy would reach or attempt to hook, the guy who ended up winning the fight would hand fight and pummel and then bring his elbows up over the top and just smash them. And he landed one after another until about 2.5 minutes into the fight, he scored a knockout via elbow, and it was cool.
Cool. And they were both Thai fighters?
Yes. Everybody on the card was from Thailand.
Oh, cool. And then you recorded that, right? Because I think
it's
I saw...
up on my YouTube channel, actually.
Cool. And then you were saying something about how it's like the old Lumpini Stadium and they tore it down or something like that?
Yeah, from what I've heard, I haven't been back to Bangkok since apparently they remodeled, did some renovations on Lumpini Stadium, so I don't know what it looks like now. I just heard it's different. So when I was there, it was a very old stadium. It had like corrugated aluminum for a roof. Looked very, very weathered, very used, very like fights had happened there for a very long time.
Cool. And then what else? What else do you remember? Or tell me more stuff about your trip to Thailand.
To Thailand?
And you just went there one time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we spent some time in Bangkok. We spent some time in where is it? Khao Lak. It's over by can't really orient myself with the map of Thailand in my head here. What's the basically the kitty corner of Thailand from Bangkok?
Like Pattaya?
Maybe.
Or Hua Hin?
And it was like this beach area with islands and stuff. Like pretty much as far away from Bangkok as you can get.
Okay. Like probably like southern Thailand.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So.
So you flew there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had some contrast in geographic locations in Thailand, and most of the time we were just vacationing, hanging out on the beach, things like that.
Cool. Yeah, that's an interesting thing about Thailand is there's a big difference between Bangkok and then the beaches, and even the small towns that aren't beaches.
Yeah.
But it sounds like of the three things, you just saw beaches and Bangkok.
Pretty much. Beaches in Bangkok and fights.
Cool. So
we saw some monkeys and tigers and elephants at one point.
Cool. Those are awesome. What else? What else about Thai or Thai language do you know, or what to talk about, or have questions about?
It's a good question. I have a few Thai friends in China that I spent a lot of time with, but they never say anything in Thai around me, so.
Okay, and we should talk about Thai nicknames, because some of your friends go by
they have all kinds of different nicknames. Like I've got a friend, his Thai name is Chanan Sinsob, which I'm probably pronouncing incorrectly.
Chanan Sinsob?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he goes by either the nickname Luck or the nickname Rock. And I don't know if Rock, R-A-K, is his Thai pronunciation of luck or whatever, but his English name was Luck, L-U-C-K. But all his non-English speaking friends call him Rock.
Okay. And then an interesting thing. This is another thing that with that there's probably a linguistic reason for it, but it's kind of confusing. Is a lot of times when U is written, it is actually the short ah sound. so there's not much of a difference, or there's really no difference between the way Thai people would say luck if they're used to writing luck with the short ah sound, or rak. And actually, rak, R-A-K, means love in Thai. So if you say I rak you, or I rak you, it means that I love you. And
Interesting.
And then luck. So since R and L are pronounced identically, you is often the short ah sound.
So this very well could be just like Thai people trying to say the word luck in English, and it comes out as ruck.
Yeah, and it could kind of be a pun. Like, well, a lot of Thai people have English sounding names. Like I work with a guy called Bank. But one of the things with Thai people is they can't, or people that speak the Thai languages, they don't have any consonant clusters. So often they drop everything that doesn't fit into the consonant cluster. So the way you say bank in Thai is you drop the K and you just say bang. But his name's Bank. Like when it's spelled out, then it's spelled bank.
People call him bang.
Yeah, bang.
Like bang bang.
Yeah, but it means bank, and a lot of Thai names talk about, and there's a Thai word for bank. It's tana kon, or wait, tana something, which doesn't sound like bank at all. Bank just means that like saying, oh, your money, your bank, your and I think bank is a word for like bank notes. So bank I think sometimes literally in Thai means money. So basically
making bank.
Yeah.
Slang.
So that's an example like luck, where they're using an English word to sound cool, and so that's my guess is his name actually is Luck, but the way you pronounce luck is rak, and it's just an interesting coincidence that it also means love. Oh, and then Thai people always have a long name and then a short one syllable name. So usually their first name, which what did you say your friend's name was?
Chanan. CHANN, something like that.
Chanan C something. Sinsop. Okay. Is that all his first name?
I think it was first and last.
Okay. So usually Thai names are at least.
Our Thai name is first and last, or is the surname?
Yeah. It's first and last. It's not like Chinese where it's reversed. So yeah, his first name would be Chanan or Chanon. Okay, and tell me some more Thai people that you know.
Let me think. Well, Luck is the one I know the best because he was my Muay Thai coach for a very long time. We worked at the same Muay Thai gym, and he would teach me Muay Thai. I would teach him mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, things like that. So let me think. I've known a lot of other Muay Thai coaches, but I don't remember how to pronounce most of their names. For example, Luck had a good friend from Thailand who also worked at the same gym, the Tiger Muay Thai Kung Fu Club in Shanghai. Not to be confused with Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. It's a completely different gym. And I had no clue what this other guy's name was, even though we worked at this gym together a bunch of times, and I asked him like once or twice, and I couldn't pronounce his name. And there comes a point where you've been around the same guy long enough where if you don't know his name already, it's embarrassing to ask again, like, hey, I know we've known each other for like 6 months, but what's your name again? So mostly we just smiled and nodded and you know, kicked and punched and sparred and things like that. So
well, cool. Yeah. So Thai names and Thai nicknames are really interesting. And I actually there's this podcast that's starting up, and the guy said that I hadn't heard this before, but it totally makes sense because I realized I realized that I've met a few Thai people that what he said is he said that Thai people will often keep their nicknames throughout their life. So Luck was probably Luck since he's been born. Oh, and then the other thing is their parents give them their nicknames. So the parents give them both their names and their nicknames.
How interesting.
And
is that something that happens when they're born? Like, your official name is, I don't know, Robert Jones, and your nickname is Lulu, or whatever.
Yeah, and so
like on the birth certificate sort of thing.
Yeah, and so in that scenario, they would keep Lulu throughout their name, but they may change Robert.
Oh.
And then the other interesting thing is a lot of Thai nicknames are descriptions of babies. So like one
they get those names when they're babies.
Yeah. So one common Thai nickname is Pui, which kind of means fatty, because you know how some babies are fat. And so it's always really interesting seeing a really skinny girl whose name literally means fatty, because she was a little bit pudgy when she was a kid.
That's interesting because you'll see this a lot in Latin America. Like, man, when I lived in Argentina, I would always see like skinny people being nicknamed like El Gordo, the fat one, or fat people being named Flaco. And at first I thought it was just like them trying to be ironically funny, but I don't know, maybe it was like a childhood nickname because they actually were fat or skinny or whatever.
Yeah, and then another common nickname is Wan Nung, which is often given to the first child, or Neat or Noi, Neat Noi and Neat Noi, or the three words Neat, Noi, and Neat Noi all mean small. So often they just call their baby small because babies are small. So there's other.
That happens a lot in Chinese. They'll use the word Xiao as not a nickname, but part of their official name. Like Xiao Mei, for example. That's a fairly common one. It means like little beautiful. And yeah, Xiao Chao. I've got a friend named Xiao Chao. I don't know what Chao means, but in the context of his name, that Chao is little. Cool. Super common.
Cool. Well, I think this is a good stopping point. Any final thoughts on the Thai language, or Spanish or Chinese, or English or linguistics, or boxing?
Yes. As they say in Albanian, Koha ashta flori, which means time is gold. So, in the pursuit of linguistic excellence, use your time wisely.
Oh, and then as a final thought, since your tagline is "Get out there and train," you should tell everyone to get out there and train.
Thanks for watching. Get out there and train.